millionaires, and thank you so much for joining this week's live. I am Kayla.K.Keane, and this week we are talking about things that you definitely need to know before you purchase a house here in Jamaica. Now, before I go any further, let me go ahead and join my other device on which I normally answer your questions so that I can see all of your comments and respond to them in a very timely manner. As you know, if you have watched before, although I normally have a topic for my life, you can ask me anything at all you want to speak about, you want me to talk about, or any questions that you want me to answer. So I see that some of you are here already and you are already conversing in the comment section. So I'm just going to go down there and see what it is that you guys are talking about and provide response to all of your question. I see that I have quite a few new subscribers again. So I want to say a big thank you for joining my channel and welcome to my channel if it is your first time. So, for those of you who are returning, you already know the format. So, good evening to you, or good afternoon, or good day if you're watching on the replay. And thank you so much for joining. Remember to hit the thumbs up and a happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers who are watching. If you are watching and you are a mother, happy Mother's Day to you. And if you are not yet a mother, happy Mother's Day to your mom. If you are a male watching, I hope that you gave mom a great Mother's Day today. So, yes, we are all ready and set to go to talk about this week's topic. Now, I'm going to go into the comment section and check what you guys are talking about so that I can keep up with the conversation. I see Brit is saying, hello, Kayla. Hello, Brit. Uh, Angela says, good night, Kayla. Blessings from London. Thank you so much for joining, Angela, as always. Sebastian Maxwell says, good day. CM says, yes, Medea. PI772NTY says, good day. Good day to you. Misha says, hey, Kayla. Akbar Moody says, good evening, Kayla. And Learn, Grow, and Invest says, hello, everyone. Happy Mother's Day. All right. So before we go any further, I see K Main is here. She says, good evening, Lady K and subscribers. Hello, K Main. Thank you so much for joining. So does Mark. Hello, Mark. Thanks for joining. Right. So, as I said earlier, for those of you who are just joining, please remember to give the video a thumbs up and a happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers. So, I'm for 5 minutes thereabouts or less, I'm going to give you guys a chance to tell me in the comment section one of the happiest memory that you have with your mother. So go crazy in the comment section. And if you are watching delayed, also go ahead and tell me under the comment section what is one of the happiest memory that you have with your mommy. So go ahead in the chat. I'm going to read them really quickly and then we are going to go ahead and have our conversation about things you should definitely know before you buy a house in Jamaica. I don't want anybody that is a subscriber to this channel making any mistake when it as it relates to home acquisition. If you're buying a house, I want you to have all the facts straight and I want you to make a deliberate, strategic decision that you won't live to regret. Many persons have purchased property and then they end up regretting that. However, if we work together and educate each other, then we won't have that problem. So this evening, I will work assiduously to ensuring that you know everything you need to know about acquiring real estate here in Jamaica. So you don't want to buy a house and then after you buy the house, you find out about all the issues that are in the community or all the issues that are present as it relates to that property. So we're going to dissect the issue this evening, cut it up, chop it up, talk about it, ventilate it, everything, just to ensure that you have everything in order before you purchase a property. So I'm waiting on you to go ahead and tell me one of your most fun memory with your mom, and then we are going to start the main discussion. Uh, Someone is saying, CM, you always early. Yes, CM is definitely always early. Hey Jam Dan TV says, Happy Mother's Day to your mother and all the mothers in the chat. Definitely. Just a reach. CM says, Good greetings, everyone. Solomon is here. Solomon says, Hello, good evening, Kayla.K. Kimane says, Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in this group. Brenton says, giving you thumbs up. Thank you, darling. Akbar says, I think that would be one, that would be the $1 million she gave me when I was in need. Oh, that's so sweet. CM says, no one missed out on any good info, and he's responding to someone who says that he's early. Right. So I have one comment so far about the fond memories that you have with your mom. Akbar says, I think it would be the $1 million she gave me when I was in need. Go ahead and tell me your other fun memories with your mom, and then we're going to talk about everything that you need to know or the things that you definitely should look out for before you make any attempt whatsoever to purchase a property here in Jamaica. Now, I'm also on my journey to 3,000 subscribers. So if you are watching right now and you have not subscribed, what you waiting on? What more proof you need to subscribe? Let me know in the comment section. Go ahead and hit the red subscribe button over here and help me to get to 3,000 subscribers, okay? So while we're on the mission to 3,000, let me see what you all are saying to me in the comment section. And by the way, I hope that you enjoyed the last video as it relates to the last post about real estate, which was a property in St. James, with the lowest cost being for $14 million. I think that is an excellent property. And if you don't yet own real estate and you want to own real estate in Jamaica, and if St. James is on the list of parishes for you, then that property is an excellent, excellent, excellent property for you to buy. If you are just joining, remember to give the video a thumbs up and tell me in the comment section your favorite childhood memory or one of your favorite memories with your mom. Uh, I says, Misha says, the ability to laugh with her daily. Okay. Sash Muller says, Happy Mother's Day to all the mummies on here. All right. So while you guys continue to tell me in the comment section your favorite childhood memory with mom, we're going to press on with a conversation about things you definitely need to know before you purchase real estate here in Jamaica. So, one of the first things that I want to say is that buying a house is not always best for everyone. So, or at the particular time, it might not be that buying a house is not always the best decision at every time in your life. There are times when it's good to rent a property, or if you are living with your mom or your dad, there are times when it's best to stay at your yard, as they would say, and not purchased just yet. So that's one of the first things that you need to know before you purchase real estate. It's not always a good time to buy. It's not always a good time to buy for many different reasons. It might not be a good time for you to buy because financially, if you go ahead and purchase a property and you get a mortgage, you're not going to be able to keep up with those obligations because of your financial situation. So before you purchase a property, you need to know about your financial standing. Normally, it is advised that you are paying at least like, well, no more than 35% of your salary towards your mortgage. But firstly, you want to know if it is a case where you're going to be able to afford it and stay afloat with your payments. So that is the first point when you are looking to buy real estate. Don't let anybody fool you and tell you that because it's a good time for me, it's a good time for you. That's not necessarily true. You need to look at your finances and figure out with your financial advisor if it's the best time for you to purchase. Purchasing and the best time also has to do with the type of market. As you guys already know, Jamaica is a seller's market. So the market as it relates to real estate is always better for persons who are selling their property than for persons who are buying. So there are persons who have purchased properties maybe 10 years ago for like $8 million, $10 million, $14 million, but they're now selling back the properties for $20 million. So one of the things you want to think about is, if I buy my property, will it be great when I'm selling it back? Can I make back the money? Because it makes no sense to purchase a house and then you're going to sell it back for a cheaper cost. The idea is always to sell for more, right? And that is how you make back some of your money and thing. You wouldn't want to be paying mortgage and then you discover that, okay, I wasn't planning to live in the property. So I bought a property for 40 million, for example, and now I'm only able to rent it for $20,000 monthly because of the location. So it's not always a great time to buy. You have to look into that. So let me just keep up with the comments. CM says, ensure that persons selling the property on the open market actually own the property before any funds is transferred to them. Period. And normally, how we do it here in Jamaica, normally you transfer the funds to your attorney, and your attorney does the purchase undertaking for you, so to speak. But that is a great idea. And that is why in one of my lives, I spoke in depth about how you can access the title for property. If you are new on the channel, subscribe and go and look for that live and watch it back. Watch back every second of it. It might save you some money and some stress. Okay? If you don't have to go through stress, if we can tell you the information ahead of time, and you can be aware when you go to purchase, that is the position that you want to be in. You want to be an informed buyer. Have you ever bought something, not a house or anything big, no? Have you ever bought something and then when you take it home, you see that this thing that I bought is really not what I needed? But because you didn't do the proper research before, you fork out your hard earned money and pay it over. So now you have to live with the consequences of making a poor decision as it relates to spending your hard earned money. So, those are some of the things that you want to look out for. And I want you to continue to talk to me in the comment section. Put your ideas about things that you should definitely do before you buy a property in the comment section so we can discuss it together. For those of you who haven't liked the video as yet, also, please remember to go ahead and like the video. And if you're just joining and you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you are subscribed but you haven't hit the bell so that you get notifications whenever I post. You don't want to be a part of the gang who only knows that I'm going live when you come on YouTube. No, don't do that. Hit the subscribe button and hit the bell, okay? All right. So, hey Jamdan TV says that's a good one, CM. Indeed. Sash Muller says, is now a good time to buy? All right. So to answer that question, you know that the price for real estate has gone up some over the last, like say, 2 years. The prices have gone up, especially in certain, well, all over the island, but especially in like the corporate area and in the what we call a high demand areas. So the cost for real estate has gone up. It's always a good time to buy in terms of if it's a good time for you. So what you have to do is to look at your personal finances and say, if I should lose 35% of my salary now to paying a mortgage, would it be that I'm still financially viable, financially stable? So those are the things that you want to look at. What kind of position will you be in when you go ahead and purchase a property? If you're going to be dying for hunger and basically you can't pay your light bill, no, I wouldn't suggest that you buy. But if it is a case where you can still remain financially viable after purchasing and losing 35% of your salary, then yes, you can go ahead and purchase. All right, so let me see what the other comments are saying. Hey Jamdan TV. Oh, CM is saying thanks to Hey Jamdan TV. Learn and invest. Learn, grow, and invest club says true. Akbar Moody says, my other memory was when my mom and I used to play bicycle in the bed. by putting up feet together and rotating them like bicycle pedals. That's so cool. CM says, yes, Kayla, that's a good point. That's why I am still saving some more before I go into this mortgage experience. Jesus says you must count the cost before you bill, etc. Amen, CM. You have to be very wise about that. But you also have to remember that while you can probably save towards your down payment, you more than likely won't be able to save up your entire amount that you need for a mortgage. So, and the more you save, the more inflation going up and eating away at the money and so on. So, those are some things that I want you to think about also. Okay. Misha says, I bought a house, and the husband moved out over 2 years, leaving the wife. Okay, I guess there's a typo. You meant a couple bought a house. Okay. A couple bought a house and the husband moved out, leaving the wife. They are getting a divorce and the wife does not want to move out. She met him when they already when he had already had the house. Okay, Misha, so that is definitely something that's a civil matter and that's something that will be dealt with by the courts. So because they are married, they're going to have to go through Supreme Court to deal with that issue because here in Jamaica, once you're married and you have issues like those, matters of divorce, separating properties, then you'll have to go through the Supreme Court. Um, Misha says she served him with a caveat while I was viewing the property. LOL. Well, thank God that that happened prior to you actually purchasing the property. Next thing you buy it and she think it's her property, and then problem. Um, Misha says, so make sure you do your research before buying. Definitely. And some things you're not going to know. That's why you need an attorney. And you don't necessarily need a realtor, but definitely try to get an attorney on your side from the get go. You don't want to invest large sums of money into a property only to find out that there are a lot of problems with the property. And there are other problems apart from that too. And those are some of the things that we'll be talking about this evening. One of the next thing that I want to talk about is the math aspect of it. I see some persons just joining. CM is saying very good, very true, Misha. Misha said, I had no idea about the situation. It was so messy. I should have asked question. Yes, Misha, but don't beat yourself up because it would have been very hard for anybody to know that. Brenton says, do I have to pay cash for property? It depends, Brenton. Some sellers are saying that, okay, this is a cash only purchase. So they don't want to go through no bank. They don't want to waste no long time. They just want the lawyer to transfer the money to them. And if it's 30 million, they want it in cold hard cash transferred to their bank account. So it depends. But most purchases use allow mortgages. So you won't always have to pay cash unless the vendor says that that's what they want. Uh, PI says, is when Jesus says so though. Oh yes, PI, it's actually in the Bible that you should count the cost before you bill. Lots of gems of wisdom and thing in the Bible. So yeah. So somebody said the verse, Luke 14, verse 28. Timoy O'Brien says, good evening, hosts and subscribers. Thank you so much for joining. Timoy. Guys, if you have liked the video, please remember to do so also. So we're going to move on to the next point now, and that's the math part of it. Now, as Jamaican, I know that a lot of us do not like mathematics at all. And if you're on here and you don't like maths, comment like maths if you do or hate maths if you don't. But we're going to talk a little bit of math now. And when you're thinking about purchasing a property, math is a very important topic as it relates to affordability, right? So there are some persons who do not think, they don't even sit and consider anything about the price that they're going to purchase for. Math is something that you must, must think about when you want to purchase a property. Do not even go look on a house before you do the math, because it makes absolutely no sense if you cannot afford a house to start the process of purchasing only to find out that you are going to have financial difficulties. We all want to become homeowners, but it makes no sense to do so at the expense of your happiness, your peace of mind, your joy, and everything else in between. And remember that when you say, all right, I have the money and I'm going to purchase a property, once you get the sale agreement from the vendor, the math starts. You have like a limited amount of time to close the sale, so to speak. So you need to think about affordability. So when I say maths, these are the things that you need to think about. Are you going to use the NHT? That's the first part of the math. So you need to find out how much money you are going to be eligible for from the NHT. Let's calculate it at six and a half, $6.5 million, right? So you qualify for $6.5 million as a loan from the NHT. For those of you who don't know what the NHT is, it's the National Housing Trust. And for those of us who are Jamaicans, whether living in Jamaica or living abroad, you qualify for generally the highest amount you can qualify for from the NHT to assist you with purchasing a property is 6.5 million Jamaican dollars. So that's the first part of the math. You have your $6.5 million that you're going to use towards the purchase of a home, right? Secondly, you need to find out how much money you can get from the bank to purchase this property. So what you're going to do is take the pre-approval letter to the bank, take the pre-approval letter from the NHC to the bank, and then they are going to tell you how much money they are willing to lend you. Once you find out this information, you need to now sit and have a conversation with yourself about what you can afford versus what you want. If it were possible, all of us would want to live in Jacksonville, not true? All of us would probably want to live in Cherry Gardens, Graham Heights, Kingston 6, in general, the Golden Triangle, living good, living large. But truth is, some of us are not yet in a position to afford that. So when you get your eligibility from the bank and from the NHT, that will now inform the math part of the conversation. What can you really afford? So before you go to search for a property, you need to know what you can afford, don't it? Yes. And for those of you who are living in other countries, sorry, you need to find out what you can afford to and do the conversion to see what it will work out to. So when you do that and you now know the math part of the question, you can now get to the other part of the conversation, which is what can I afford with the money that I can afford, right? I hope you are all following. If you're following the conversation, comment following, because I definitely want to know that you are keeping up. Brenton says that he's unable to hear. If there's anybody else who isn't able to hear me, well, how are you going to know? If you can't hear, if you can hear, tell me in the comment section. Just comment hearing so that I know that it's an issue with Brenton's internet or whatever and not a general issue. So I can know what to do, okay? Okay, so Misha said following. I guess Misha is hearing. All right, so let me see what you guys are saying in the comment section before we move on with that part of the conversation. So, Learn, Grow, Invest Club says math is amazing. It's the best subject ever. Okay. Timoy O'Brien says mathematics is a great subject. PI says don't like math, but I can handle it. CM says, you are welcome, PI. And Raquel Francis says, like the video, please. Yes, guys, please go ahead and like the video. Thank you. Brenton says, is it possible to give us numbers in American dollars also? Brenton, no, I'm not going to be able to do that. But FX Traders website converts Jamaican to US dollars. It's about 150 something dollars for the US to one US to Jamaican. Converted to Jamaican, it's 150 something dollars, about 56. Don't quote me. Go on the FX Traders website and find out. Remember that currencies fluctuate daily. So yeah, I didn't check it today. Shay Monroe says, "Hey, future millionaire. Ray, I made it home." Hey, Shay. Shay is a part of the essential services. So she wasn't able to make it last week, but she's home now. Thank you for joining, Shay. CM says, "Yes, we hear in loud and clear." Okay, that's awesome. Brenton says, "You back." Okay, good. You can hear now. Sash Muller says, "The bank is now getting the eligibility letters from the NHE for you. You no longer need to go to the NHE, then the bank." Okay, so you can just go straight to your financial institution, and that has been implemented since COVID-19. So I tell people that there are some positives with COVID. That's one of the positives. Um, Shay says, "Wow, really, Sash? That's cool, right?" Angela Dwyer says, "I am following you. You are absolutely right. Since purchasing a property, I get to love math, especially percentage." And Sash Muller says, "I think it's a COVID measure being utilized to lessen crowding at NHG." Yes, it is. All right, great. So, as I was saying before, two things you need to consider: the math part, NHG eligibility letter, bank. So, as Sash Muller was saying, you no longer have to physically go to the NHT. You can just approach your bank or your banker, and they'll be able to do all of the calculations for you and tell you how much you'll get from NHT, how much you'll get from the bank, so that you will know how much you qualify for, meaning how much money you can afford to buy a house for. Understand? All right. So when you find out this amount from the bank, say the bank say that you qualify, they're going to lend you a total of $19 million when you get a property that you want to buy. So the total amount combining the NHC portion with the bank portion is $19 million, right? Let's work with that figure. So this does not mean that you will not have to find a dollar out of your pocket. No, you can just sit down and relax, because really and truly the house that you wanted for is for exactly $19 million. So now you feel like, yeah man, can take a break. No. When you purchase a house for a particular amount, say $19 million, you'll be expected to come up with the closing costs. Okay? So you need to go ahead and try and have some money in saving. Now, I always encourage my subscribers that we need to have an emergency fund, right? And in the US, emergency funds generally start at $1,000 US. So what I'm going to need you to do is to do conversion into your country's thing and try to save. If you don't have no money at all saved in the bank now, try and save $1,000, 1,000 US dollars firstly. So if you're in Jamaica, that's 100 and odd thousand dollars that you're trying to save. So there's no sense in all of us working, and we cannot save anything. I always tell people, divide the amount of money that you have now currently against the years that you have been working for. So, say for example, you have been working for 10 years and you have 10,000 Jamaican dollars in saving, for argument's sake. That means you have saved $1,000 for each year of your working life. If you're not pleased with that figure, it means that you need to go back to the drawing board and figure out how not to spend so much and to save some more, right? So those are the things that I want you to consider as it relates to the math of purchasing a property. So once you have those figures sorted out, what it's going to do now is to inform your purchasing prowess. So if you qualify for $19 million, there is no sense in you looking at houses that cost $40 million, because it simply means that unless you have an act of God, some miracle, some stroke of luck, you're not going to be able to afford it. And we're not working with luck. We're working with the figures then. Yeah, we know that God will work things out for us. But for now, let us do our part to make informed decision. So if you qualify for $19 million, when you combine your NHT amount and your bank amount, it means that you're going to look for properties in that range, in that price range. So from 17 million to $19 million is your price range if you qualify for 19 million. Don't go looking at 25 million, because you're not going to be able to comfortably afford it, and the bank is not going to lend you more money than they think that you're going to be able to repay comfortably. So if you're following me again, comment follow and we're moving along. Let me check what you guys are saying in the comment section before I move along though, so that I can be up to date. CM says Brenton. Okay, so he's talking about the US rates. Okay. CM says that's the Bank of Jamaica rate. Brenton is saying thanks. CM says okay. PI says, and they also consider any credit card you have that affect your credit service ratio. All right, we're going down into that part of the conversation. Don't worry yourself. Who is that? PI. We're talking about we're not missing anything tonight, and that's why I named the video don't buy a property in Jamaica before you watch this, because I'm going to try to talk about most of the things that you need to look out for. And the thing is, I have recognized that this topic, the whole real estate in Jamaica topic, it's really, I cannot exhaust the topic. I could speak on this for probably the entire year and still have things that I haven't spoken about. So you guys need to tune in on Sundays if possible. Watch the lives and let us do this together. I don't want any of you to purchase a property and then after you purchase the property, you say, oh, I just finding out this. No, it's better to know everything and going to the decision or going to making the decision informed, as opposed to not knowing this and not knowing that, and then you go in guessing and spelling, and then you make poor decisions because you just don't have the information when the information is totally available to you. So yes, we want to make an informed decision about this. Right. So the next thing we're going to look at, and this is stemming from a question that one of my subscribers asked, we're going to look at buying apartment versus buying houses. So as I've always said, and by the way, if you're watching and you haven't liked the video, go ahead and like the video. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. So yes, buying houses versus buying apartments. So some of you, and we've spoken about this before, you want to purchase a house for different reasons. You want to purchase an apartment for different reasons. And it's actually good to look at what will best suit you, right? So an apartment will best suit you if you have these needs. Say for argument's sake, if you want to have your dogs and your cats, so you are a pet person, you love your pets and you don't intend to get rid of your pet any day soon. An apartment might not be best for you because some of them have rules that don't allow pets, right? Say you want to have a big farm, then apartment might not be best for you again because farming might not be allowed because you don't have the amount of space that is required for that. What about if you have small children and you prefer to have an environment that they can play? You think it's a safety hazard for them to be on the sixth floor, then a house might be best for you. But one of the things that I want you to think about, and this is why I mentioned houses versus apartments, is the fact that when you purchase an apartment, you will have to pay a maintenance fee. Remember now, and somebody asked about this recently, maintenance fees as it relates to apartments do not relate to the mortgage. So you'll have to pay your mortgage and you'll have to pay your maintenance fee. So say that, for example, you purchased a property that costs $20 million. So your monthly mortgage is, let's say, $50,000. You might be asked to pay a maintenance fee of $10,000. So if you are thinking now, okay, so I'm going to pay my mortgage and my mortgage is $50,000, you actually need to be thinking $60,000 because you're going to have to pay that additional money for your maintenance fee. Additionally, if you are the type of person who like your own unique everything, an apartment might not be best for you because you know that some apartments don't allow you to do things like change the color of the apartment. So maybe getting a house is best for you. So what about buildings that fall under strata? If it's a strata, remember that stratas, the homeowners association, has to come together and all the homeowners decide on certain things, like the color of the property. If we're going to take down the sign on at the fence that has the name of the property, all of those things you have to come together as as members of the homeowners association to decide these things. So if you are an unruly person and you want to do things your way, you want to paint your house yellow, and tomorrow you paint it purple and next year paint it pink, maybe it's best for you to purchase a house and not an apartment or a building that falls under strata, like some townhouses or some duplexes that are in like a scheme. So those are some of the things that you want to think about, because I tell you, you can buy a house today and regret it tomorrow. However, if you go into this informed, then you won't be frightened by any of these things, because you would have already watched the live and you are aware of these things. Okay, the next thing I want to look at is the fact that you need to think about your resale value. So just like those of you who like cars and you own a vehicle, you know that when you are buying a vehicle, certain cars do not have high resale values. So the car might be very expensive, but you might not be able to sell it back because the resale value is not good on that brand of vehicle. And now it's time for the men on the live to shine. Men, come through and tell me if you know the tell me some brands of vehicle that have high resale value and low resale value. So let us transition into other areas so that we can make things clearer. So same like car, some houses do not have good resale value because of the area, because of the community, because of certain things that are happening around the place. Let me jump into the comment section a little bit. I don't want you guys to leave me out of the conversation. Let me uh read the comments and then we get back to the main conversation. So we're talking now about resale value on properties. um K-Main says, I love math, but there's a little malice going on between maths and my brain. Brenton says, does closing costs vary or fixed percentage? It can vary, but generally, it's fixed. CM says, DWLK. Brenton says, LOL on the math and the brain. By the way, Brenton, I have a video entitled How to Buy a House in Jamaica. Watch that video to find out everything you need to know about closing costs on properties. Uh, Shay is laughing. So is Brenton. PI says, K, still in that line. Shay says, true, I love to customize my property. Right. CM says, Kayla, that's why enough people not pay the maintenance fee in some gated communities, because them struggle to get the mortgage money and never factor in the maintenance fee. Exactly, CM. And that is a problem. You know why that is a problem? It is a problem because when you don't pay the maintenance fee, say all of us on here now are living in one scheme, right? So it's a strata, it has a homeowners association. All of us are a part of the homeowners association. So there are 50 of us here now. If 10 of you decide not to pay, then it means that the money that we need to pay the security guard at the gate, the money that we need to manicure the lawns, the money that we need to manage the green area, the park, clean the benches at the park, that money is going to be split between less people than it is intended to be split with. So guess what? The property is going to run down. And we, when the gate and the fence want to paint and we can't afford to pay that, then it goes, it affects the way the property look, because maintenance will be not as good as it should have been. You understand? So that is why it is important to think about these things before you go that you cannot afford. You understand? So those are some of the things that I want you guys to think about before you run and get a property that you can't afford. Rich Forever says, hashtag Mona High. Hi, Rich Forever. What's your real name? That's my high school, for those of you who don't know. Rich Forever says, it's true. Um, BMW, yes. BMW is an example of a vehicle that is very expensive, but the resale value is not necessarily good. Toyota, on the other hand, has excellent resale value and it's usually more cost effective than some other brands. Um, so Rich Forever says, like Toyota have more resale value and Nissan, right? K-Main says, that's true. No sense in saving and no, I'm not sure what you were trying to say. Not always easy for everyone, but it is the reality. It just not makes sense. Oh, um, Timor O'Brien says, real talk, CM. K-Main says she's following the conversation. CM says, me now comment on the vehicle resale value topic because what people consider as high resale value or low is relative. I'm sick and tired of people saying Honda has high resale value. Okay, so I think safe answers for resale value is Toyota and Nissan. But I think of all of them, Toyota has really good resale value. So he says, CM says, some vehicles are overpriced now, so it's not high resale value. It's the price was already high. And Rich Forever says, I know. CM says, Rich Forever says, at CM, so true. Cayman says, oh yes, apartments versus houses. I prefer a house anyway. Need play area for my girl. No pet around here. And Brenton says, CM, you have a lot of knowledge. Yes, man. CM is the what they call it? Resident. CM is the resident wisdom man. I don't think CM has ever missed a live, and he's always on here dropping wisdom beans. All right, so yes, resale value was where we stopped at. So we're talking about resale value. So when you're purchasing a property, you want to look at the resale value for that community. Don't be afraid ever when you're trying to purchase a property, even rent a property, to go to the persons in the neighborhood and strike up a conversation. If you're shy, no, it's not the time to be shy. You're going to spend your money and you need value for your money. So don't be afraid to have the conversation to find out what is going on in the community. All right. So one of the other things that I want to tell you about as it relates to purchasing properties is that you need to look over minor cosmetic issues. So a lot of times realtors will tell you that they have a client, the client wants to purchase a property, right? So say your budget is $17 million and you want to purchase in, say, Almond Town, for example. So your budget is $17 million. You're looking for a property to purchase in Almond Town. You found a property for $15 million. So this is great because you were looking at $2 million more. You find a property that suits all your needs for $2 million less than the initial price that you were looking for. Now you have an issue with the cosmetic of the property. However, there's no structural fault with the building, nothing wrong with the property. You only don't like the color. So this is a cosmetic detail. You don't like the face base in the bathroom. Cosmetic detail, right? I'm not talking about issues with like a crack in the wall or location, things like that. Things that those issues are big issues. I'm talking about cosmetic issue. You need to overlook simple cosmetic issues as it relates to buying property. If you don't like the color of the house, you can change it, unless of course it's a strata where the color of all of the houses is decided by the homeowners association. You need to overlook cosmetic details because if you don't do that, you're going to miss good purchase opportunities. Okay, so don't go and look at a property now and say, oh, I'm not buying it because I don't like the color of the house, but everything else is nice. Don't do that. One of the next thing that I want to talk about, and rarely anybody talk about this. So I know that when you're purchasing a property, you guys ever recognize that when you're going to buy a house, you generally look at properties at a certain time during the day? comment in the comment section and let me know if you have actually taken note of this. So normally when you're looking at a property to purchase, you normally look at the property between certain hours of the day. And those hours are business hours. So call it 9 to 5 or call it 8 to 4, thereabout. Those hours, the business hours, those are the hours that you normally look at properties. But guess what? There's a whole nightlife that goes on in every single community. And you know that some communities are party central after a certain time of the night. Some communities have a buzz when it comes to nighttime. So one of the things that I would advise advise all of my subscribers to do is to look at properties at different times during the day and night. So if you're trying to buy a property on Chelsea Avenue, for example, don't know if their house is on Chelsea Avenue, but yes, let's just use that as an example. You are trying to purchase a property in a specific location. Generally speaking, when you're looking at properties, you're looking at the properties at a certain time during the day between your regular work hours, 9 to 5. What goes on in that community at nighttime? You know? No? You don't think you need to know? Yes, you do need to know. Is it a case where you have a neighbor who at 6 o'clock comes party time over for them yard? Because that will eventually affect you, you know. What about water pressure in the area? Is it that them have water during daytime, but at night they have water lockoffs? Do they have frequent power cuts? Is the street used to play football and cricket? All of these things you need to think about. So you might not be able to view a property in the night, but you need to drive through the community in the night and find out what is happening there. Many persons have bought property only to find out that they regret it probably a month after when they're actually residing there and they are seeing the issues that are going on there, right? So, yes, CM says that we have curfew here in the night, so we can't go look at properties. But curfew starts at 8 p.m. most nights. Yeah, curfew starts at 8 p.m. So go and look at the property between 6 and 7 and get home for 8, okay? Don't say I tell you to break the curfew now to look at what is happening with properties. So, another thing that you want to think about is the repair costs. So some properties that you purchase will need repair. If it is a case where you are unwilling to undertake the repairs necessary to bring the house to a livable standard, you need to have a conversation with the vendor and let them know that you are not going to purchase the property until they fix the property. I recently had an experience with a realtor who was selling a property, but the property was going to be sold without the prospective owners being able to view the property. So I was saying to myself, you know how Jamaicans say puss in a bag? That is the ultimate puss in a bag. Because there's no way on God's earth I would be purchasing a property that I could not view. Why would I do that? Who does that? So I asked the realtor. So when people purchase the property now that they're not able to view because they're selling without a viewing, and when they discover that there's a big old crack in the wall, or some structural engineering issues, or leaky pipes, plumbing issues, electrical issues, who will foot the bill? So she says that no man, it's a fairly new property, so we don't think it is highly improbable that there's any issue with the property. Me I say, miss, yes, you're gonna say that because you're trying to sell. You know the popular Jamaican saying that says fisherman never said them fish stink. That is the prime example of that. So please, people, you're going to purchase something. It's your money, your investment, your blood, sweat, and tears. You need to see what's going on. And remember, not everything that is wrong with a property can be seen with the naked eyes. So you need to have professionals look over the property for you. If it's a very old property or an older property, you might need a structural engineering report and so on. CM says, thanks, Brent. I read a lot and I have some experience, and I have experience with some stuff, not all. K Main says, really appreciate you, Lady Kayla, for empowering us with these information that we do not have to pay for. Thanks a bunch. You are welcome, K Main, and thank you for always joining and supporting. Shay Monroe says, good info, Kayla. I wasn't thinking of night viewing. Yes. CM says, okay, I read that already. WN Max says, hi to all the mothers. Happy Mother's Day. WN also says, good evening, everyone. CM says, good evening, WN Mac. Brenton says, Kayla, I don't live in Jamaica. How would I be able to do some of these things you're talking about? Because the drive by at night is so true. Brent, I'm sure if you're not living in Jamaica, you have friends. Do you have friends or family in Jamaica? Then you'll have to get them to do that for you. WN Max says, hey CM, thanks much. Hope you're keeping safe. K-Main says, no sense in working and no saving. It doesn't make any sense. Period. Shay says, can someone do it for you, Brenton? Brenton? Yeah, I think his name is Brenton. Yeah, Brenton. Right. So yes, you'll have to have someone to do it for you. CM says yes. WN Mac, Medea eating potato chips and listening to Kayla and the persons here on the live. Paul Davis says, how do you know when you're qualified? WN Mac laughing about something. Oh, I guess the potato chips. And Shay is correcting Brenton's name. All right. So to answer Paul Davis's question, how do you know when you're qualified? I guess you're speaking about for a mortgage, how you know how much money you qualify for. So generally speaking, there are normally two ways of finding out how much money you qualify for. Firstly, you would go to the NHG to find out how much you qualify for from the NHG. And secondly, you would go to your bank. But because of COVID-19, they have kind of changed up the policy where you can now go directly to your bank to get this information. So what you need to do is to go to your bank that you're seeking to get the mortgage from. And I would suggest that you go to more than one bank because some banks have better interest rates on mortgages. So you go to your bank or banks and then you let them know that you need a mortgage. You're going to need to take 3 pay slips if you're employed or a bank statement if you're not employed. And then they are going to take that and produce the information for you that tells you how much you qualify for. So that will inform your decision. As you guys know already, I have to drink right throughout the live. When I talk a lot, my throat gets really dry. All right, so repair costs. That's what we were talking about. As it relates to repairing property, as I said before, you might want to buy properties that need minor repair. Note, minor repair. Don't go buy a property that's falling off the base. No. Don't buy any properties where the land is slipping away from under the property. Be wise, okay? But you might buy properties that need minor repair. Like, for example, the kitchen cupboard, you need to tear it down. So while this can cost some amount of money, it might be something that you want to undertake for different reasons. Maybe you don't like the way it looks, the aesthetics of it. Hopefully, it's not chichi eating down the cupboard because you know that that can be a more serious problem where you'll need pest control and people like that to come in. So, if you're going to undertake a property that needs repair, you need to do an evaluation as it relates to the cost that is going to be to you to see if that is something that you are willing to undertake. If not, then you need to let the owner fix their own problem before you purchase the property. One of the issues that you also need to look out for before buying a property is plumbing issues. So you know, so from time to time, the roots of tree can actually grow underground and clog the drainage system. So there is a process, I think it's called probing, that they push something down into the drainage system. It's a camera. They push it down there just to look if the drainage is clogged. So that can become a very expensive repair process, and you can have your house flooding out, stuff like that. So you need to do that. By the way, as some people just joining, if you're just joining, please remember to like the video. And if you haven't subscribed and you're watching, go ahead and subscribe. Oopsie. Hold on a second. Let me just fix my camera. All right, let me read on this device so I don't mess with the camera again. All right, so Brenton says, okay, I will try. If not, vacation. No, man, you can't take a vacation every time you want to look at a property. Remember that when you see a property that you like, you might not end up going with that property. So you can't take a vacation every time. It's best to just get a friend to check it out for you. I'm trying to go back through the comment section. I think I missed Miss B's comment earlier. She said, why does the bank charge high interest rate on loans when the Bank of Jamaica interest rate is extremely low? Because the banks are independent businesses and they're trying to make a profit, and not just a profit. Some of them are trying to make all of them interest in one day. So like how some companies sell expensive, that's how the banks are. So especially the commercial banks. So that's why sometimes it's better to go with building societies or your credit unions or so on. But you have to do some research about that. And as you ask a question, one of the things I'm thinking about talking about next week is the best institution as it relates to mortgages. If you guys want to hear about that, you can let me know in the comment section if that's something that you'll be interested in hearing more about. CM says, Brenton, you can hook up to Jamaica Eye cameras and see what's happening in some communities at night. Not sure if it's legal though. CM. All right. WN Max says, Kayla, do you know if those overseas can still contribute any amount to the voluntary payment? I'm not sure I'm understanding your question, WN. Paul Davis says, okay, thank you. And if you are self-employed, how you prove how much you make? Yes, you prove how much you make through your bank statement. So if there's anybody who's watching now who is self-employed, you need to route your money that you're making through the bank. Okay? So when you get paid, set up a card machine that you can collect card or go to the bank every month or every week or every 2 weeks and lodge money so that they see that you're getting a constant supply of money, so that when it's time for you to purchase a house, you can prove to them that you can actually afford to do this. So don't just keep your money under your mattress, because when it's time for you to purchase a property, nobody will be willing to lend you any money if you're unable to prove that you're making money and you'll be able to pay for the loan. Kamin says, or even pass through the community after business hours. Exactly. Earth Strong says, Kayla, do you know much about JPS and Partners Credit Union and the rates they offer? No, Earth Strong, I don't. Probably you have to visit their website. I think Earth Strong, are you living here? If you're living here, you can visit them. If not, visit their website. Don't work for JPS. Normally, persons who are part of that credit union would be employees or the family members. So no, I don't know. Natisha says, good night, everyone. Late, but I'm here. Hi, Nats. Thank you for joining. Miss B says, what can I do if I purchase a property in Greater Portmore or the neighborhood has a shop in the house? The business attracts a lot of heavy duty truck and lot of customers. The noise is terrible. You see what I'm talking about, guys? You see what I'm talking about? You buy your good house and somebody just decides, say, all right then, shop I go keep right here, so in front of my house. So now you have truck and also a problem. I don't know if there's anything that you can do about that apart from as it relates to the mayor's office. Like in Kingston, I think we have the municipal corporation. So what they do is they make rules for residential areas versus business areas, and some residential areas are mixed. They have a name for it, but I can't remember now. So they're allowed to have businesses. So you'll have to find out if the community is allowed to have businesses within the residential area. If that is allowed, then say you don't have anything to do, you don't have any redress to get. You're just gonna have to live with that or sell the property. But if it is a case where they're not allowed, then they can ask them to cease and desist conducting business at the residential property. But I'm very glad that you made that point, Miss B. Yes, zoning. It's called zoning. Yes. So I'm glad that you made that point, Miss B, because that's the point I was trying to make to my subscribers. And no, to some people, when you tell them about certain things, it sounds like foolishness. But you see, when you actually have the problem to deal with, it's another case. CM says, good night, Natisha. Mommy says, I'm here, princess. Thanks for joining, Mom, and happy Mother's Day again. CM says, Miss B, that's why I'm not in a hurry to buy property in St. Catherine Estate. You're gonna have a lot of those eventually. My turn in a ghetto, so to speak. Paul Davis says, thank you. Yes. Yes, guys. So that's one of the things too. And yes, as you mentioned, St. Catherine Estate, CM, and I hope to do a video on St. Catherine Estate soon. Well, when the model unit is ready, because as you guys know, I'm not going to vlog any property that is dirty and mud. I'm not walking in any mud and dirt and you name it to vlog any property. We're not that desperate for properties. I see a lot of YouTubers showing like the insides of properties that are not, the walls are not rendered. Listen, me not have no time for that. I'm not doing that. But when the model unit is ready, I'll show you guys what it look like. But I want you guys to think now. If properties are selling for a very, very cheap cost, it's going to attract, and this is only the truth. It might sound away, but it's the truth. It's going to attract a certain type of persons. Low income communities generally attract people who, you know what I'm saying. I don't know how to explain it, but you know what I'm saying. The same thing that CM's saying. So you have to be careful that you're not purchasing a community that will descend into the abyss of lawlessness and will threaten your life and livelihood. You have to be careful about that. I see some persons just joining. If you're just joining, we're talking about all the things that you need to talk about before you purchase a property in Jamaica. Consider these things, think about them, sleep on them, roll over on them. Don't let it miss you, because if it does, you're going to have problems when you purchase a property, only to find out that somebody has a little bar next door. And when night come, them knocking dominoes, and now when 2 o'clock, you can't sleep in your bed and your children them cannot sleep. Next thing that I want you to think about is lines of credit. Somebody mentioned it earlier. If you are going to purchase a property anytime soon, do not open any new lines of credit. Simply put, no borrow no more loan. Don't borrow any more loans, okay? And if you're planning to quit your job and you want to buy a house, go and stay another job, go and hold it like a soldier, because when you change your job, you're going to need time to prove to the bank that you will be able to pay the loan and that this job is permanent and that they're not going to fire you anytime soon. So if you're in a good job for one good little 5 years and now you got your pre-approval from the NHC, from the bank, and you're getting ready to purchase a house, now is not the time for you to quit your job. Go on hold strain until you have purchased your property. When you don't get your property, and when I say purchase, I don't mean just sign sale agreement and the funds don't transfer. I mean funds transfer and the sale is finalized. If you want to leave your job then you can leave. And remember that if you leave your job, the bank doesn't care about that. So they will need their money. So when I say leave your job, I mean if you know for sure that this job is secure and you'll be able to pay your mortgage, and fine. But what I'm saying to you is don't leave your job prior to knowing these finer details, because the bank, the little commitment letter that they give you, there is a footnote on it that says we are basically allowed to change our mind at any time if we feel like the conditions under which we agreed to this have changed. So basically, if they thought that you would have been able to pay it based on your circumstances at the time that you went to them, and those circumstances have now changed, so they are not sure if you are going to be able to afford the commitment that you made, they can say, okay, I'm not going to bother to honor my commitment to you. Okay, let me see what you guys are saying in the comment section. CM said no. Natisha says thanks, CM. Earthstrong says I live in New York, but my mother works there. Just wanted to get an opinion. CM says, preach, Kayla. Amen. You're talking truth. Miss B says, these people sell weed and rum and attract a lot of idlers at the gate. You don't even have privacy to hang your underwear. Yes, guys. So I'm very glad that Miss B is speaking up, because this is the same thing I was telling you about. You have to find out about where you're going to buy a house before you buy it. You can't just buy a house anywhere because you want a house badly. If you are okay with your neighbors selling weed and having one whole heap of idlers at the gate, then fine. But if you're not okay with that, then don't purchase a community that is already operating like that. Because you going there to live, not going to change anything, okay? Not at all, not going to change. Miss B says, I am so sorry. Oh, CM says, Miss B, I am so sorry for your plight. I can just imagine. Exactly. Earth Strong says, would love a vlog on the best institutions for mortgages. All right. I was planning to just go live and talk about that. Maybe I'll talk about that next Sunday if I am able to go live. By the way, guys, I might not be able to go live next Sunday. Not sure about it yet. But if I'm not able to go live, I'm going to post a vlog. Remember, I tell you, whenever I can't go live, I'll post a vlog. More than likely, I'll be here, but I'm just giving you the heads up. Just in case I'm unable to go live, then I will post a vlog. But if I'm going live next Sunday, we're going to talk about the best institution for mortgages. So I know some of you have been asking a lot of questions about where to get a mortgage. And I have told you before that some banks that have good interest rate generally and they're good financial institutions don't have good mortgages. Remember that every loan they call them a product, right? So they might have good products in general, but the loan products are crappy. So I want to talk about that. All right, so one of the final points that I want to make about purchasing a property is similar to the renovation point. So I want to talk about the disruption that renovating a property might cause. So if you purchase a property that needs some level of fixing up, needs some renovation, that is going to be very disturbing. For me personally, I hate renovations. So if it's to change the paint on the wall, it's a problem for me because I just don't want to move anything for that purpose. So, if you're painting, you're going to have to take all of these off the wall, move this over, put everything in the middle, cover it with a tarpaulin, and then paint the walls. And then paint might get on your furniture, all of that. So, if you have to renovate the property, I want you to think before you make that purchase. If you don't want a property that most properties sell, you can just move in. But I've noticed a trend here in Jamaica, just because it is a seller's market, where some property owners, even when they are renting, not even paint, them don't want to paint the house. So somebody just moved out of the house and they do not want to paint it, and you can see that the paint is stripping, the roof are dropped down, part of the house are leak, and they're like, yeah man, rent it and we'll fix it while you're here. Listen to me. If you don't want to purchase a property that has one bag of problem, do not do it. You're not desperate, you're not going to die if you stay where you are one more day. Okay? So do not purchase properties that need renovation if you don't intend to do renovation, or if that is not a project that you want to take on. Renovating and building and anything that has to do with real estate can be very expensive, and it can become very expensive. You take on a little thing and say, all right, I'm going to fix the fence, and then the laborer come, they're supposed to lay 100 block, them lay 50 and them want to collect. Some of them come, they idle the whole time and they want to collect. Think about those things before you take on any form of projects as it relates to construction. Okay, take my wise advice. La Rose Martin says, coming back home, I welcome you to the beautiful parish, Redales, Belvedere. Okay. CM says, Kayla, when the future millionaire t-shirt's gonna be ready, I need a blue double XL. Michael, if you're watching, please note this comment. My subscribers are ready for their branded items. I told you guys that I was going to launch my merch store, and I still need to do that. So now that you have asked CM, I'll keep in mind. And Michael, please make a note of that. Michael is the graphic artist for the channel, so he does all of those stuff for me. CM says, La Rose, I used to live in Belvedere at Forest Manor apartment. Do you know there? Learn, grow, and invest says, some landlord keep things at bare minimum. Worse than bare minimum. Worse than bare minimum. La Rose Martin says, I guess he's saying I born and grow up there. K-Main says, at Miss B, thank you for sharing. So the unbelievers will hear the actual testimony. Exactly. We have to talk the truth. We have to speak our experiences so that people can know that some communities you should never buy in. Now, because you see a house selling cheap, it might be selling cheap for a very specific reason. And I have told you guys already about mass migration or mass exodus. So if you look in a community, so you're checking the Jamaica Observer, the Jamaica Gleaner rather, for properties to buy, right? And by the way, if you're watching and you haven't liked the video yet, what you're waiting on? Go ahead and click the thumbs up icon to like the video. And if you haven't subscribed to, go ahead and click the subscribe button, which should be somewhere here on your screen, as well as the bell, okay? Right. So mass migration or mass exodus. If you purchase the Gleaner, the Saturday Gleaner, the Sunday Gleaner, because you want to see where houses are selling, you want to buy a house bad, 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 right? If you notice that one community is coming up 100 times, so if it is that the listing has 150 community and 150 houses, I beg your pardon, and 100 of those houses are from the same community, it means something. It means that you should not buy the property without finding out why everybody's selling at that one location. You understand? Yeah, you need to do that. So you need to do that to safeguard yourself. So when you go around in the community and ask, that's why I said don't be afraid to talk to people. Nobody don't have horn and they're not going to buck you. Ask questions. You're looking to rent this property at 50, go to 52, 53, 54 down the road, 18, 22, and ask, what kind of community is this? How long you live here? Around here nice? You'd recommend me to rent around here? A lot of people will be very honest. Me sure if you walk up on Miss B right now and you say to Miss B, I'm planning to buy the house across the street from you. Should I buy it? Miss B, I go say, look here, my child, don't buy it because it's bare nice them people around here making up. And them have weed smoking and gambling and noise. They'll tell you the truth about the community. So don't be afraid to ask. Okay? Do not be afraid to ask. My granny used to say, you ask question, you don't last pass. Don't be afraid to ask questions about the community that you're thinking about purchasing in. Because in doing that, you can save yourself future heartache, future problems, future trying to resell a property that you just buy. And the worst thing is, if you're having these issues in the community, it means that it's going to affect the resale value. If it affects the resale value, it means that you're not getting value for money and there is no ROI, return on investment. You're not going to get nothing. You're going to buy the house for 14 million and you're going to sell it for 10 million. And that makes no sense because you're going to have to pay that mortgage, whether or not you think about it or not. So think about those things. For those of you who are just joining, thank you so much for joining my live. If it's your first time here, welcome to the family. Remember to like the video, comment, and subscribe. If you have subscribed but you haven't hit the bell, go ahead and hit the bell. So whenever I go live, you can get your notifications. Okay? And I see persons ordering shirts, their Future Millionaire t-shirts, which will be a part of my merch store. If you are a new subscriber, I call my subscribers Future Millionaire because I'm speaking into your lives. Okay? So I'm going to recap shortly, but before I recap, I'm going to see the comment section. Yeah, so earlier, CM was saying that he needs his blue double XL shirt from the merch store. I see somebody else saying that they want the Shay Monroe, sorry, says that she needs a purple double XL also. Let me see what else. Shay Monroe says not Scotia. CM says, oh really, La Rose? That's interesting. La Rose says, I hope I will be gone by September. CM says, Kayla, you have to be careful. Police say we must be careful of new persons moving into our community. Enough scammers migrating from you know where. Cayman says best financial institutions for mortgage. Thank you. Okay, Cayman, that will be the topic for our next live next week. Hopefully, if I can go live. If there's any issues and I can't go live, I'll tell you guys in my community section. Please, I talk to you guys in my community section and I post a lot of polls over there. So go ahead and run over there and look at the conversations I'm trying to have with y'all on the days that I'm not supposed to post. If you're new, I post on a Friday at 3 and I go live on a Sunday at 6. Okay. I'm trying to get to 3,000 subscribers, guys. So if you haven't subscribed, you need to join the family and help me to get to 3,000K. Okay. So let's recap the things that we spoke about tonight. All right. So we spoke about the things that you need to know before you buy a house in Jamaica. Things that you definitely need to keep top of mind so that you don't go purchasing a house that you're going to regret in 2 seconds. Firstly, it's not always best or a good time for you to buy a house. You need to buy a house based on your situation, based on your circumstances, based on your own assessment. Okay? Secondly, you need to do the math as it relates to the cost for the property. What's the cost? What you can afford. Check out what you can afford from the NHT, what you can afford from the bank. Okay? Next thing, an apartment versus a house. Which is best for you? You need to weigh the pros and cons and find out what would be the best option for you. Okay? So if you want to buy an apartment, you need to think about paying mortgage and maintenance. If you have to buy a house, you're only paying your mortgage and you're doing the maintenance for yourself. What about resale value? When you're purchasing a property, you need to think about resale value. Will I be able to get value for my money if I sell back this house? Or will I be buying for 10 million and selling for 6 million? So you need to think about the ROI, the return on investment. Next thing you need to think about, how much of my money will be going into this mortgage? Right now, as it is, if you lose 35% of your income to your mortgage, would you be okay? Will that be a livable salary for you? All of these things are things that you need to think about. You need to also overlook cosmetic issues with properties. So if you don't like the color of the house, then that's something you can change. So you need to overlook that. If it's a strata or an apartment where you need to come together with other members of the homeowners association, that's not something to overlook, because you can't just go and paint your house green. That's going to be a problem. Okay. Uh, you need to look at properties that you're planning to purchase at different times of the day. So normally we look at properties that we're planning to buy during the daytime, but you need to go out and look at properties in the night to see if the community is livable and it's somewhere that you'd want to reside. Some persons, some neighbors are nuisance, and that's only the truth. So you need to know the type of neighborhood. If your neighbors are loud, if they're always keeping parties, not to say anything is wrong with keeping parties, but if it's every day, that's a problem. So you might not want to purchase that property. What about repairing property and the repairs on the houses? You need to think about if you need repair and how much it would cost. Do an actual assessment to see how much repairing the property would cost, to see if it makes sense to purchase, or you need to keep searching for a property. Lines of credit. If you're going to purchase a house soon, you don't need to open any more lines of credit. Do not borrow any more loans, as it will be harder for you to get a mortgage. In fact, if you have loans now and you are looking to buy a house, you need to try and minimize the amount of loans that you have, so that the bank can better favor you to get a mortgage. What about the disruption in renovation? So if you do choose to buy a property that needs to be renovated, you need to know that it is going to cost some amount of disruption to your life. You're going to be hearing drilling, hammering, sawing around there in the background. So if that's not something that you are willing to deal with, purchasing that property might not be right for you. Okay? So those are the things that we spoke about tonight as it relates to purchasing a property in Jamaica, things that you must pay attention to before you take out your hard-earned cash to make a purchase offer. All right? Let me see what you guys are saying in the comment section. CN says, no, I read that already. Angela Dwyer says, thank you, Kayla, for this great information. Really appreciate it. I am off now, a little bit tired after 3 night shift. Have a blessed and productive week. We'll tune in again next Sunday. Thank you very much, Angela. I know that it's like 1 a.m. in England. Thank you for watching. Thank you for spending a part of your Sunday evening with me, as you always do. Really appreciate you. CM says, Kayla, if you buy a house in a gated community like Phoenix Park in Portmore, you still have to pay monthly maintenance. So those houses would have a homeowners association, CM. So yes, generally you would have to pay a monthly maintenance, but the amount that you'll have to pay would be determined by all of the homeowners. So the homeowners would come together and decide how much it is. For example, I know that for one of the New Harbor Village schemes, they pay like $2,000 for maintenance, because that's what the homeowners came together and decide. So sometimes they'll come together too and have an updated meeting and decide what to pay. So yes, you'll have to pay maintenance, but generally those are cheaper than apartments, because like a scheme like Phoenix Park, you'd be expected to manicure your own lawns. But with an apartment, normally you have a gardener who deals with the needs of the apartment. Chantel Campbell says, how do you choose an area? Sometimes it's difficult choosing the best area to buy. All right, so that's an excellent question. So one of the things that you have to think about, Chantel, is your budget, right? So choosing an area is one thing, but your budget is another thing. So firstly, to choose an area, you have to look at your budget. And then when you look at your budget, which is your amount from NHT and the bank put together, so you can afford, say, $19 million, you now have to look at communities that are selling properties for between $17 and $19 million. And then that will help to inform where you can afford to purchase based on the costs. Learn, Grow, Invest Club says, good session. Thank you. Chantel says, being a teacher is like everything decent out of budget. I understand, Chantel. Hush. I understand, but remember that there are other options to home ownership, and you could consider rather to purchase, to build, to buy land and build. Which parish do you live in, Chantel? Because some parishes you can afford something nice, and then some parishes it's more difficult. Like say a St. James, I just posted a video of a $14 million 2-bedroom property that has um what they call those cut stone fence and nice environment, nice community, Rhine Park in Montego Bay. So it depends on where you live. In Kingston, it might be difficult for a teacher to find somewhere on their own, but in other communities, it's not so hard. Um, CM says, "LOL, Kayla, it wasn't a question, but anyways, cool." All right. So yes, if you don't have any more questions, if you have questions, other questions for me, sorry, go ahead and ask now. So we're wrapping up. As you can see, I already did the recap. So if you have questions, go ahead and ask them now. Just some reminders. I post a video on Sundays at 3 p.m. and I go live I post on Fridays at 3 p.m. and I go live every Sunday at 6 p.m. So another cool video is coming out on Friday, guys. It's the Out of the Blues development in St. Anne, in Discovery Bay, St. Anne. I've already uploaded the video and I've set it to premiere on Friday. So guess what? Go ahead and like the video and turn on your watch reminders so that you can be a part of Friday's premiere. I will be there with my popcorn and juice, eating and drinking like it's the first time I'm seeing the video. So try to watch that premiere with me on Friday. It's already up on my channel, as I say. So when the live finish, go and like it and turn your watch reminder on, and you can start live chatting or you can leave a comment. Yes, let me see what the other comments are about. Chantel says Kingston, but I'm willing to relocate. Yeah, it kind of sticky for a teacher to buy property in Kingston. Kingston prices are out of the roof. Lady Main, and that's why I'm trying to give you guys options. So that's why I'm trying to go to the other parishes. You guys notice that I'm moving out of the corporate area. So the last video was in St. James, and the video coming out on Friday is St. Anne. Yes. So I have a lot of new videos coming up for you. K Main says, Lady Kayla, I take it that you love red. Oh, because most of the stuff on my channel are red, and my photos, quite a few of my photos are red. That's why you're asking that, Lady K. Yeah, I do like red. Purple is my favorite color, but I like red clothing and yellow clothing. Yeah, because I'm dark, so those colors make me pop, or so I think. WN Max says, did I miss a lot? Yeah, you did, but I did a recap for you towards the end of the video. So when the live ends, if anything, you can just watch back the last part and watch the recap, or you can just rewatch the video. CM says, big up Miss Donna Brown for growing such a nice daughter, Kayla, who keeps us on our toes with real estate. Ah, you're welcome. I'm sure. Mommy, she's seeing, she's watching. Angela Doaya says, oh, brilliant. I can't wait for this one where I am buying my property. Brenton says where as it relates to what, Brenton? So as I said, I have a video up, Rhine Park development in St. James. If you haven't watched it, as soon as the live end, jump on the channel and watch it. If you haven't subscribed, by the way, people, what you want me to do? Subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe. Just hit the red button over here. It's free. It's free. You won't be paying any extra internet bill, and you'll be getting free education. Okay, go ahead and like the video, that's also free, and leave a comment in the live chat. And when the video ends, go ahead and comment under the video. If you are watching live, thank you so much for joining me this week. Join me next week, same time, same place, 6 p.m. Okay, And for those of you who are watching delayed, remember to like the videos, leave a comment, and subscribe. Angela says she's waiting for Out of the Blue property. Yes, Miss Angela, it's already up on the channel. It's premiering on Friday at 3 p.m. So go ahead and like it and turn on your notifications so you don't miss it. If you haven't watched St. James Rhine Park Development, I love this one. You guys know that I generally tend not to give my impression of the property. I generally don't give a feedback on the property. I allow you guys to say what you think about each of the developments that I cover. But I'm going to tell you, I love this HAJ development in St. James. And if I was living in St. James, I'd actually purchase that property. It's lovely. And there are 3 different types of properties there. So they have the 2-bedroom with 1 bathroom unit. They have a split level 3-bedroom unit, and they have a townhouse, same development, same scheme. It's beautiful, and the view is to live for because we're not dying. Yes, but thank you guys so much for watching, spending part of your Sunday evening with me. It was a pleasure serving you as always. All you got to do to say thank you is to subscribe, like the video, share it with a friend, ask them to subscribe. I'm on my journey to 3,000 subscribers. Want to get there before the end of the month. Thank you so much for your support. And future millionaires, continue to remain financially literate as we try to buy our properties, save, invest, and grow wealthy together. That's all for me tonight. Good evening.